captivating cinema entertainment.
The man with the mind.
A three-time winner for Fleming's Secret Agent 007.
Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to the James Bond Complex, the podcast where we discuss and analyze 007 in all its shapes and forms, from Fleming to the films and everything in between. Ooh. I'm one of your hosts, Edgar.
And I'm Matt.
This week we are discussing the filmic adaptation of the book we just discussed, Goldfinger. This was released in 1964, written by Guy Hamilton, his first kick at the James Bond can, one of many, actually. And many places where we can start. I think maybe just generally speaking, this tends to be the movie that everybody thinks about when somebody mentions, what is a James Bond movie? Oh, a lot of people think about Goldfinger. Mm-hmm. And do you want to know why?
I never heard about this movie. Do you want me to tell me the plot in every detail possibly, and make it entertaining and funny, please?
Well, I got 2/3 of one page worth of detail, so let's see how this goes.
Allons-y.
The film opens with the granddaddy of all pre-title sequences, as Bond, perfectly suited and booted, blows up a heroin smuggling operation in Mexico. 007 barely makes it out alive from his hotel room, dispatching one last opponent in positively shocking manner. From there, it's off to Miami, where, with the help of CIA buddy Felix Leiter, our protagonist comes across Ulrich Goldfinger, a supposed legitimate businessman who has recently come under suspicion from MI6 and the Bank of England for smuggling gold out of the country for his own profit. Chapter 1 of the Bond-Goldfinger rivalry concludes with the hero spoiling the villain's attempt at cheating during a game of gin rummy. He also briefly makes Jill Masterson's acquaintance before she suffers from the villain's Midas touch. Chapter 2 sees Bond one-up his rival yet again, this time during a golf match, the purpose of which was to have Bond engage Goldfinger socially in order to track his movements. Thanks to a tracking device, 007 follows Goldfinger and the latter's bodyguard Oddjob to Switzerland, where Jill's sister Tilly makes a go at avenging her sibling's death. Oddjob, ever the gentleman, takes his hat off to the lady, putting an abrupt end to her mission. Chapter 3 goes nuclear, as Bond is taken to Goldfinger's Kentucky ranch and, heavily guarded by Oddjob and Goldfinger's personal pilot, Pussy Galore, learns that the criminal mastermind plans to blow an atomic bomb inside Fort Knox, thus increasing the value of his own stock by a conservative estimate of 10 times. Bond taps into Pussy's maternal instincts, and with a new ally on his side, they thwart Operation Grand Slam. Just before Bond can call it a day, he faces off against Goldfinger once more, this time in an airplane, which begins to crash when the villain fires his pistol. Goldfinger gets an early start at learning to play his golden harp when sucked out of the jet, and Bond and Pussy make it out just in time with a parachute. Safely on land and awaiting rescue, Bond wraps himself and Pussy in the chute for one more undercover mission as credits roll.
Well, good work.
Excellent. So, Goldfinger. He's the man. I think we can say he's the man with a Midas touch. We did this episode already.
Oh, yes.
It starts with, like any Bond film does, with a pre-title sequence. Now, I remember many years ago, I can't remember if it was a friend who told me this, or if it was a podcast I heard, or maybe I read it, but I never forgot it. With the idea that you're with someone, okay, who's never seen a James Bond movie in their life, but they only have 5 minutes to give you. Put them down in front of the TV and show them the pre-title sequence to Goldfinger.
It's pure concentrate 007.
Yeah, it's unfiltered.
You
007.
You have everything. You have, I mean, first shot, he's swimming. You see a bird. he pops his head out. He has a bird on top of his head. Removes that, so you have a funny bit just to begin with.
No point. I mean,
Just
why do you not just swim underwater with no bird on your head?
Just silly. Just like, okay. After that, he shoots a grappling hook. That's a gadget. Climbs, fights a guy. Boom, boom, boom. Takes him out. Puts a bomb in.
Toothpaste on heroin.
Remember from Russia with Love when he removes the mask?
Yeah, I know.
The same sound effects is used when he removes the.
I know. Great stuff. I mean, hey, they have this sound archive. It's like Lucasfilm.
It's like the Willem
sound.
The Willem scream of James Bond. It's the.
You're very right. Did you notice something about the grappling gun hook?
It doesn't seem to shoot from the gun. It seems.
No, because the gun is here and the hook comes from here. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Then he takes his swim. Well, I don't know if it's because it's
wetsuit.
It's supposed to be a wetsuit, but it looks like it's nylon. Anyway, under his nylon swimsuit, he has a white tuxedo,
A white dinner jacket.
which I see you have a picture of right behind you.
That's true. It's one of my favorite Bond pieces of Bond memorabilia.
I loved it so much. I had a suit jacket made, so I had the gallows at work.
so you could look exactly like Sean Connery.
I dressed up. I even had the little. I think I showed you pictures. I even had
Pretty sure I've seen one.
The
red
flower,
carnation.
Yeah, red carnation.
It's a very nice suit.
I even carried a fake brick of gold, and I put a speaker inside of it so I could play the Goldfinger song. I got a bit of it broke after one use, but it was pretty cool.
Must have been pretty cool.
the-
Goes to a bar.
There's a bar.
Just as he's about to light a cigarette, the bomb goes off in the background.
Also, he's. I noticed something because I just changed the strap on my watch, and apparently I picked the same exact strap that he wears.
How did that happen?
No, I accidentally I didn't check. It's just it's the same strap. So it's black and gray. If you're looking for it, it's available on the interwebs. Wants to, how does he phrase it? He says he wants to close the.
Well, I think something like he won't. At least now he won't be financing revolutions with heroin-filled bananas or something like that.
And
he's making eye contact. He's having eye sex with the dancer, and she's having eye sex with him too. For that.
Yeah, no, and she eventually has eye betrayal when her eyes reflect, and that's another goofy part.
You remember our From Russia with Love episode when we talked about the scene with Kerom and his mistress on the couch, and I know this actress, I know that.
Is it the same?
It's the same one. That's her. That's why she's familiar. Same face.
That's why.
Back to the hotel room.
Hotel room. So while he's having, he's making out with the girl, at one point he notices a reflection in her eyes.
Of all the places you can see a reflection, I mean, it's true. Our eyes are a little bit glassy, so yes, there are reflections in there. But that's like Cinemania heightened. Like that's like Cinemania cube.
It's a bit goofy. I mean, it
looks awesome. Though.
I think it's meant to be a laugh. It's been parodied in other films after that because if you take, and that's a thing that I hate saying, but that movie doesn't take itself seriously. And I think
not really, no.
And I think Guy Hamilton, we covered I think all of his previous films.
We haven't done Golden Gun yet.
Oh, thank God
we won't do for a while actually.
Merci. That's his best work so far, but it shows where his mind is because it's very I hate saying that, but because when somebody says a movie doesn't take itself seriously, to me it says that they intentionally made a bad movie, and I don't think that was their intent, but they were really they were moving towards parody. So this is the movie that starts to move to parody. It's in between. It's between the more realistic, in quotation, Terrence Young film, but it's inching ever so slightly.
I remember reading, I can't remember if it was some kind of hero or the James Bond archives, but the Goldfinger chapter, I remember there was some comments regarding Sean Connery's reaction to the script. And he thought it was retarded. Like, the first time he read it, he was like, what are we doing with this franchise all of a sudden? I mean, they gave him upgrade in the salary, so he went along with it anyways. But even he thought it was a little bit too jokey at the start. And you're right. I'm not sure if not taking itself seriously is the perfect term.
But
I think they're taking the project seriously, but they're definitely giving it a much, much lighter touch.
Yes.
Than, for example, my boy Terrence Young did during the first couple films, and to a degree will do in the next one, Thunderball. They're really giving it a much lighter touch this time around. I think the viewer doesn't need to take it too seriously.
No, but there's a change in the direction that before we start doing this podcast, I didn't feel as much. Doing the books and the films in this order makes you feel, wow, it's really, because we went from really, really like serious to goofy, back to serious, and now we're going back to goofy Bond.
And this is the film that also introduces a lot of sort of Bond stereotypes, like a tricked out car. He didn't really have that in the first couple films. A completely batshit crazy plot. I mean, Dr. No's plot is kind of crazy. This plot is insane. It also introduces us to the genius Bond, nuking Fort Knox would leave the gold atomized for 37 years. 38 to be precise. It's like Bond just like knows everything and can do any sort of arithmetic.
He's great at math. He can calculate how many people you would and how long it would take you to rob Fort Knox.
Exactly.
And that doesn't include his what he got. Is it whiskey that he drinks with Colonel
Mint julep?
No, with Smithers.
Oh, brandy.
Brandy, and he's able to pinpoint the location from
I'd
where.
Say it was an indifferently blended brandy with an overdose of Bombois. Colonel Smithers is giving the lecture, 007.
Yes, it's the genius Bond. But all these elements were present in the first two films, but in disjointed. This is if we're gonna.
It's in full force here.
Yeah, the first two movies were like experiment. This is Coke. We are getting first ones were Coke with a little bit of cocaine in them, and this is the Coke that we get today with sugar.
Yeah, it is. The whole movie is just a bunch of cotton candy.
Yes.
The first film was a bit of a detective story. The second film is a Cold War thriller. This is cotton candy.
This is sugar. I love sugar, though. But
yeah, it's fun. Everybody loves some sugar. And what I like about this movie a lot, too, is it just zips along. Like, for the God knows how many times I watched this movie, but every time I sit down to watch it, I do not see the time go by. And it's an hour and 50 minutes. Like, it's not that short.
It is the shortest movie after Quantum of Solace. All of the other ones are longer than this one. This one was the shortest one. And I saw it in theaters, and at times I felt it when you see it completely without any distraction in a dark theater. There are parts of it that are a little bit long.
Really interesting. So I never get that sensation. And it's not like I paused the movie to do other things because I'm at home and whatnot. It's one shot through it, and I freaking love it.
And there are things that I only noticed when I watch it in theater, especially near the end. There's a few shots that they optically zoomed in the footage because he probably didn't cover a particular shot very well, so they kind of stretch the film, so you see every. It's especially in the climax when they're inside Fort Knox in the lobby when they're having the gun battle with the and Bond is trapped with Oddjob. During that section, there's shots. If you look carefully, you zoom in inside the footage. It's not that evident, but it's pretty funny.
Must be pretty quick shots, though.
Yeah, no, quick shots. Just that I never noticed until that one time I saw it in theater a couple of years ago. So it's interesting.
Back to the plot here. So, Goldfinger, he's a bit of a cheat. He's playing gin rummy with somebody.
We never find out what's the name of the character.
No, who cares what the character name is? We also meet Felix Leiter number 2.
Probably one of the worsts.
Is he one of the worst?
Well,
nah. The guy
special episode, Felix Leiter.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, spoilers. the bottom at the bottom of the barrel for me would be the Living Daylights.
Probably second to last.
Really?
I put this one.
Why?
Grandpa.
But he's smiling.
He has nothing that Jack Lord had. To me, Jack Lord is the gold standard. Every other one is different shades. I would put Jeffrey Wright at number 2, and he's cool in his own way. The other ones are not cool.
I'm still a David Hedison kind of guy.
That's why he's number 3.
Sure, okay.
He's cool in his own different way.
So Bond, by doing a little bit of snooping, I love the moment when Bond goes up to Goldfinger's suite. He just takes the keys. But that's Mr. Goldfinger's suite. Yes, I know. You're very sweet.
I love that little actress's reaction because she's like, oh, she's tiny too. Yeah. She's adorable.
So Bond sneaks up on a beautiful woman resting on the balcony of Goldfinger's suite, and she's helping him cheat. Essentially, she has kind of like in the book, she has binoculars and she's speaking through a speaker.
Love Shirley Eaton.
She's a very beautiful woman.
I love the gold paint that she suffocates in.
Looks great.
Have you seen? Because Shirley Eaton has redone that photo shoot in her 70s. And really? It is the cutest thing for her. Like, it's adorable.
She's very charming. Mm-hmm. Very, very charming. Beautiful eyes, too. I think very beautiful
she's
eyes.
One of my, she's less than 5 minutes, and she's one of my favorite Bond girls.
Not too early.
Why, you? And we got a Beatles reference.
Yes, that's true.
Connery Bond is not a fan of the Beatles.
He is not a fan of the Beatles, which I guess that kind of says a little bit about James Bond, or at least this movie version of James Bond, in the sense that, he's part of the establishment, but he's always breaking the rules. He's cool, but he doesn't listen to the Beatles. Like, you can't pinpoint. He's his own man.
Yeah, but
and he's unpredictable in that sense.
There's a transgressive element to Bond. He has his own code, and doesn't follow the trends as a character, even though his movies tend to follow. But he's not they never updated him to where he loves rock and roll and he goes drinking with his butt. Like, they never made.
We don't see James Bond socialize outside of or off duty, so to speak, outside office hours. We don't really see James Bond in that context very much. So we don't really know. But certainly, I do find that it's a funny line, because obviously this is from 1964, so the Beatles are all the craze.
Also, I use it for our team episode because I thought it was a funny line.
Oh, did you know?
Yeah, it's nice. How we introduced. I think this is the first one. When you listen to it, it's the first line I just put. And the second one I used, it's the girl with the cello. She's
from Living Daylights?
Shooter, Bond, shooter. Yes. It's the music reference.
Neat little touch. But I do like the comment. Not only is it funny, but it does tell us a little bit about James Bond. Like, he just has his own opinion on things, and he doesn't go with the trend necessarily.
Yes.
He's not a trend follower. He's a trendsetter. Thank you very much. But poor Jill, she probably shouldn't have become a Bond girl, because she doesn't last long.
Yeah.
Painted in gold because Bond couldn't save her. Why couldn't Bond save her? Because he gets karate chopped from behind by Oddjob, who we only see in silhouette, shadow.
Harold Sakata.
I like that shot, actually, where it's Bond's shadow. Oddjob's shadow as in the kitchen there. It's
featured on one of the DVD covers.
Is it?
I've seen sort of that image repurposed for a DVD cover. It's not very good. It's one of those mid 1990s, like, I'm learning Photoshop.
Okay. I love that little moment earlier in the film when Felix Leiter finds Bond. He's getting a massage from Dink. And so when Bond wakes up from his unconsciousness and finds Jill Masterson dead and painted in gold, he calls Felix, but he says, "The girl's dead." And you can hear Felix on the other end of the line, "Dink?" He thinks he's still talking about the girl that gave him the massage.
And that actress is also the lady featured in on the opening credits.
Yes.
Margaret Nolan.
Probably a better role than as Naked, to be honest with you. We didn't really talk about the title sequence. It's a really cool one. I mean, it's basically a redux of the From Russia with Love title sequence, which we talked about a couple months ago, or a few weeks ago, by the time you listen to this.
Yes.
But I think it looks better. It's a bit cleaner than the From Russia with Love
cleaner.
ones.
They're foreshadowing parts of the movie.
Yeah. Spoilers.
And at the same time, they're repurposing footage from the other movies, and sometimes it's weird footage. You have the explosion from Dr. No that you when the end of the movie, you have a shot of Connery running from the helicopters.
From Russia with Love, yeah.
And I think you have a random like stock footage of shots being fired from a gun, and it's not Morris Binder, it's the other guy,
Robert Brownjohn.
And I think. You know what? I'm gonna say that I think he's more influential than Morris
absolutely.
Binder.
Yeah, because
everything that Morris Binder did after that is copied.
Scantily clad women with great visuals.
Yeah.
Which the Dr. No title sequence looks great, but you don't have the women. But I would agree with you on that. I completely agree. Robert Brownjohn really set the trend. Like it's
artistically they're more complex, more refined, but technically Morris Binder is has more skills. The way he optically composites the image is a little bit more complicated than what Brown did, because Brown is projecting on women.
Did you know? I didn't notice this until last night when I watched the movie. Sticking with the title sequence, the projected image of Bond putting the ball. You see where the ball goes between her two boobies.
Yes. It's very on the nose.
Boobies now, we'll get to pussy later. So we go to M's office, and at first, it's funny. One of the complaints, so to speak, of like the Daniel Craig era is that Bond is always a rogue. He's always going rogue, going against M. There's a little moment here where M is like, don't make this a personal vendetta. So this was kind of always there. Maybe not as prominent and not as consistently as since Daniel Craig became 007. But it's interesting to notice that, Bond's always kind of like
following his own path.
Yeah, he marches to the beat of his own drum, so to speak. Even in M's face. Although he does correct himself, like, I would if I knew what the mission was. M looks at him sternly, sir.
And I think you need that in the real world from a secret agent. So you need somebody who's able to make a decision, but the good one on his own. Doesn't need to like, can I do this? You need somebody who's gonna okay, I'm gonna do this. This is the best course of action for in the long term. So I think Bond is able to like make proper decisions when it comes to his mission. So that's why he's a double O.
Exactly, and M trusts him. I mean, M might think him annoying, but he does trust him.
He oftentimes, especially I think it's in Moonraker where M says about Bond, if 007 says he saw that, then it's true.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, it's very, and even in this movie, when Felix calls later on, like at this point, Bond has been captured, so to speak, and M says, don't crash in on that party. Like, let Bond do his thing. Like he has his faith in him. He'll never tell it to Bond's face, but it's quite obvious that he does respect and need and trusts 007, which is cool. I like that. That's a reality in these movies. So meet me back in my office at 7, black tie, and go off to Q branch now. Where's my Bentley? I'm afraid it's headed today, 007.
Well, I won't keep you for more than an hour or so if you give me your undivided attention. We've installed some rather interesting modifications. You see this arm here? Now open the top and inside are your defense mechanism controls. Smoke screen, oil slick, rear bulletproof screen, and left and right front wing machine guns. Now this one I'm particularly keen about. You see the gear lever here? Now if you take the top off, you'll find a little red button. Whatever you do, don't touch it.
No, why not?
Because you'll release this section of the roof and engage and fire the passenger ejector seat. Whoosh.
Ejector seat? You're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
Now we have a we did see Desmond in From Russia with Love.
But
Neat little scene, but now we get the full Q treatment.
Yeah.
And it's cool. This is a really fun scene.
When I'm saying that the recipe is complete, we have all the elements in this movie, and that's one of them. We have a Q, but previously we didn't have a Q scene. We have the Q, and we have a Q scene, and probably the ultimate. Do you count it as a gadget, or I don't know?
Well, not only is it a tricked out car, but we see, as we will for many films to come, we see Q's team like test other gadgets in the background. You know, that's the first time we see that as well, like the bulletproof coat. Now it hasn't been perfected yet. You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't be the guy being tested for that. I wouldn't shoot you if it works good. If it doesn't, but we'll send you to the Q hospital.
We'll give money to the White Cross. So we finally see the Aston Martin DB5. DB5.
Yes, DB5.
Nice looking car. I always thought it was a nice looking car. It'd be nice if they didn't have to. It'd be nice if they felt like they didn't have to bring it back every single movie. But it is a very nice.
They don't
looking
bring
car.
it every. Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do.
They do.
You don't see it in Quantum of Solace, but other than that, it's pretty much there all the time.
I think it's has it been, but in the 90s after GoldenEye, you didn't see it until.
It's there in Tomorrow Never Dies. He drives to the office.
Oh, you're right. You're right. He has a DB5, but he doesn't have one of the modern. Because I don't like modern Aston Martin. And then honestly, sidetrack. What's your feeling on Bond cars? Do you prefer that he drives Aston Martin? Is it essential for the Bond character, or do you mind that they change it up from time to time?
I just want a nice car. No, okay. If your question is, in my opinion, must it be the Aston Martin brand? My answer is no. No, there's the tradition behind it, and I'm gonna come clean and say my all-time favorite Aston Martin, as far as looks go, it's actually the Spectre car. I absolutely love that car, but it doesn't have to be an Aston Martin. BMW, they make nice looking cars, you know.
And you know what? The old BMW from Tomorrow Never Dies, we could probably each other afford one today from 1997.
Yeah, it's not like an amazing car. It's a good brand. It's a solid brand.
Yeah.
They make very high quality cars, but they're not out of everybody's price range.
Yeah.
Unlike a Bentley, unlike an Aston Martin.
To me, it doesn't make sense. Like, you should, as a secret agent, you should drive a shit box.
Otherwise, you stand out.
Yes.
Why are you driving an Aston Martin?
That's part of the charm.
Why were you driving a Bentley?
But
the most expensive cars in the world. Bentleys.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Let's think about that a little bit more. Does he stand? Because he's not presenting himself as Secret Agent James Bond. He's presenting himself as somebody else who's rich. So maybe it kind of works.
Depends on the situation, I guess. Like, he should have a different car depending on the mission, and we all know that it depends also who's paying for the licensing fees.
See the Bond villain from his balcony. You know. Is that an Aston Martin? Oh, James Bond's coming, guys. Good to get ready.
Or is that a Mazda 5? Yeah. Yes. Like, very embarrassed.
So we get to learn about the Aston Martin DB5, its gadgets. You know, we get the line that has now become iconic, but it is a very, very funny line. You know, whatever you do, don't press this button, otherwise you release this section of the roof and engage the passenger ejector seat.
You're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007. It's a good line. It's a funny line. And they reprise it in a later film.
They always echo that scene.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Sets the relationship. So
now we go to dinner with Colonel Smithers from the Bank of England and M. As they're taking down an indifferently blended brandy with an overdose of Bombois. They're discussing the reality that they need to find out how is Goldfinger smuggling out some gold out of England. I think it's time for me and Goldfinger and me to meet socially. I was hoping you'd say that. I'll need some bait. Everybody's favorite prop, Nazi gold.
From Lake octo plates, and that's I already told you that fact. I googled it to know what's special about that lake. Apparently, the water contains no oxygen below a depth of 20 meters, so fish can only survive the top 18 meters, and below that, it's so salty that nothing like except maybe bacteria and worms can live without oxygen below 20 meters. And I think it's an urban legend that the Nazis dumped gold in that lake after the war. So that's the reference basically.
There you go. So it's off to play some golf. Thankfully, unlike in the book.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, sure, yeah, but I mean, we just recorded our book episode, and we had some negative things to say about that passage. But this one is much more lighter. It's not very long. We're at the golf course for 5 minutes.
Seeing a scene and having to read it are two different experiences. You have actors that have to portray these characters. You have set. You have clothing. You have. Well, not music and sound effects, but it's thankfully it's shorter. You don't see
much. Sorry.
You don't explain all.
Breezy.
So it's not as unpleasant, but it's still like.
I think the sequence starts and they're like the 16th hole or something like that, or 17th hole, whatever.
It's your honor, sir.
If that's his ball, I'm Arnold Palmer. We've got him, sir. I can't make out his accent. Is he supposed to be Irish?
I think so. I'm not entirely certain.
It kind of sounds Irish, but kind of sounds American. It's weird.
It's weird.
Oh, speaking of weird accents, we get to hear Oddjob speak.
Oh. Does he speak? I think he speaks in the novel. Not entirely. No.
I don't think he speaks in the novel. He's my servant, Oddjob. He's mute. Not a very good caddy. Kind of like in the book Bond, it's a game of one-upmanship. Who's going to outfox the other one? Because Goldfinger tries to cheat. He slices his shot on the 17th green, I think, and it goes into the not the bushes, but the tall grass, whatever they call that. And you got 5 minutes to find your ball. Otherwise, you lose this hole. And Oddjob, you did it better than me.
I won't do it.
But Bond and his caddy figure this out, so they sort of switch the balls. Once they put their balls in the hole. So basically, by the time we get to the 18th green, well, Goldfinger, as far as skills go, has won the match, but strict rules of golf, Goldfinger. And so because he switched the balls, Goldfinger actually loses the match, which infuriates Goldfinger. And I like the exchange they have after the match as Oddjob is sort of packing their stuff in the trunk. And Goldfinger says something like, "Oh, this is twice our paths have met. You know, be careful. Oh, you're afraid I won't give you a return match." Both of us know exactly what we're talking about, Mr. Bond. So Goldfinger has picked up.
After I remind you, Oddjob.
Oh yeah, ding! He points to his hat. Oh, I love the music every time Oddjob is going to do something. That tingle or whatever it is.
Some musical motif, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And he, so with the steel rimmed hat, he decapitates a statue. And I was like, what would the club owner have to say about this? Oh, nothing. I own the club. As he's like scratching his nose, like very good scene.
We haven't spoken a lot about our lead villain, lead title character, technically. Yeah. Gert Frobe,
who's dubbed, but then again, I think everybody other than Sean Connery is dubbed in these movies. Honor Blackman's not dubbed, and thank goodness, because what a voice! Oh, I love it.
Even today, I think she voices herself in some of the video games, the more modern ones.
Very nice voice. We'll get to her. Villain first, pussy later.
Thanks.
You know, it's I can do this all day. Goldfinger, he's pretty interesting. You know, one of the most interesting debates in the James Bond fan base or fan community is, you know, well, why is Goldfinger so iconic? Like he's ugly, he's fat, he's rich, he cheats. You know, what makes him so special? But I think one of the most interesting counter arguments I heard was, well, that's exactly why he's so iconic. He has to cheat to get his way.
He's the anti-Bond.
He's the anti-Bond, and he's always trying to one-up Bond, but he fails every single time.
You know what it is? It's Looney Tunes. you have Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. Bond is that Bugs Bunny, and Goldfinger is Daffy Duck. Everything comes easy to Bond, while for Goldfinger he has to train, he has to cheat.
Yep.
And when he's not good. I think it's in the book. They mentioned that he's not that good at golf, but because he trains so much, he becomes he improves, but ever so
he has a very
slightly.
mechanical swing.
Yes.
It's like he's perfected his.
Like he doesn't have many natural talents. He's just obsessed. His obsession make him dangerous, and he's a very dangerous person. So he's a little bit insane.
So I do like Goldfinger. He's not like my favorite villain.
He's one of the more iconic ones.
He's one of the more iconic ones, and he has some great lines.
Which is funny because he's dubbed.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I do like the character. I think he's a fun villain. He's not like in my top 3. I don't even know if he's in my top 5, but I do enjoy him. I do think he's a fun villain. He does have some of the best lines in the film, like, no, I expect you to die. I own the club. It's pretty solid overall. So after the golf match, it's off to Switzerland. It's time to track down Goldfinger, and we meet. Tilly comes into play. She's in her own car. She drives past Bond.
Tilly,
I love that.
Jill's sister.
Jill's sister. Yes.
Is she younger or older than?
They both look kind of young.
They look kind of young.
Ooh, I have a good one for you because I had a little bit of a debate with me and my best friend last night as I was watching the film. They're both very beautiful, but I think I came to a conclusion I didn't think I'd arrive at. I think I like Tilly more. Or whoever that actress is,
You know what she remind me? Because I look at pictures when I was, and especially this picture. Have you seen the Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Yeah.
She looks like the lead villain, especially on that picture.
That is a really, again.
No, but she's not ugly. But I love a little bit curvier woman. She's more slim.
Yeah, she's a little bit more slim. Yeah.
Slim than Shirley, but they're both very attractive. But if you have to ask me, I think
it just hit me last night. I'm watching the movie. I'm going like.
But they dress.
I like Tilly more.
They dress her down. I would have to look at that actress's filmography, but they dress her down, and she acts like a bitch.
Yeah,
and she's really unpleasant and not playful with Bond. So it's
she's a terrible shot.
The first time I saw that picture, it shocked me when they killed her off so quickly because she never gets her revenge. It's an incomplete story arc.
It is incomplete, and I do actually no. I would have liked her to stick around a little bit more. It is a little bit disappointing that she dies, but I actually think, despite what we said earlier about the fact that, you don't have to take this film too seriously, or maybe even the film doesn't take itself too seriously, when you think about it for a minute or two really grave things have happened exclusively because Bond intervened. Jill and Tilly are dead, both in grotesque fashion, only because Bond intervened. Like, it does add a little bit of weight to the proceedings. And that scene tends to get lost in the shuffle because it's so funny and everybody's saying lines and the leading lady is called Pussy Galore. But there are those are two shocking things that happen.
Yeah, there's the entire Masterson family has been
dead,
decimated.
Granted, Jill probably shouldn't have gotten involved with Goldfinger in the first place. That would be on her. But in the context of this film exclusively, they both die because of Bond.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah, it is tragic.
Especially she dies in
especially since Tilly's so pretty.
I'll keep my Jill.
I know. Well, we had a little kissy Aki debate in another episode. I remember that, and we might have trouble there. At least this time,
No, perfectly fine.
We're fine. We're perfect. We're good.
But they're both dead, so now it's a little bit creepy. But she dies in a rather it's an hectic sequence when Bond and her escape with the
Aston Martin, and we finally get to see what the Aston Martin can do.
Yeah, we saw previously that she had side tire swiping, and now Like
Looks
it's
like corrosion. Corrosion? You look at what it did to the car. Must be a defect of some sort.
especially like he
Like,
slices.
I know she's blonde, but she ain't that dumb.
He slices through the car itself. It's just not just the tires. The car today is not that cool. We have GPS on our cars. I mean, it just came here.
And it doesn't go beep, beep, beep.
No.
It can remain silent.
Bond is forced to stop the car. They come to a ditch.
Yeah, I think there's a car ahead of him all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think I noticed it the first time. I thought I always came to a ditch, but I think he
But the way it's
sees.
filmed, it looks like a ditch.
Yeah,
Maybe it is, and there's a car in front of him.
it's very. But they are.
So they briefly take shelter behind like the door, and Bond says, when I tell you to run, run, which is weird because they're outgunned like 10-1. Like, does he think no one's going to shoot at her?
Yeah, and
But he says go, and she goes. An odd job, as I say, he's a gentleman. Always take your hat off to a lady, and boy does he ever. He snaps her neck, and she's dead instantaneously.
it's pretty grotesque.
Yeah, it is gross.
At least they didn't. She didn't get the statue treatment. She didn't lose her head. But ugh.
We get a circa 1964 hot, sexy lady. And the sweet little grandma that she actually bows a little bit as she's opening, not the gate, but I don't know what you call that thing, but she lets the cars in. When Bond tries to make his escape, she takes out the heavy artillery. Again, it's that Guy Hamilton lightness of touch. Like it's
the little old lady in the plane in Live and Let Die. Yes.
I guess so.
Yeah.
This one's a little more violent, though.
No, but it's the same impulse. I think he finds little old ladies very funny.
I think he likes the absurdity of things, like the ejector seat, like it's this dummy that's tossed into the air. Like it still creates the effect, like a steel rimmed hat. It's just Guy Hamilton. Like what I'm gonna say almost sounds like it's a criticism, but I love Goldfinger, so it's not a criticism. But it's like he can't help but like pry or squeeze like the nonsensical elements of James Bond world. Like if you think long and hard about Dr. No and From Russia with Love, the two previous films, they're retarded, but they're presented in as serious a fashion as possible. Whereas Goldfinger, like, no, this is retarded, and we're going to show you that it's retarded.
Different POVs. I mean, he focuses on the absurdity, while Terrence Young focuses more on the drama.
The drama and the thriller aspect. He takes ridiculous plots, but he presents them as thrillers, whereas Guy Hamilton takes equally ridiculous, if not more so, ridiculous plots and makes them look ridiculous, but fun.
Yeah.
So Bond is finally captured for good this time. We get to see something pretty cool because this is no joke. This is an actual laser. This is an actual industrial laser. Is it not? Am I understanding that correctly?
I think it's not a real laser, but
I'm sure they didn't shoot a real laser at Bond's crotch.
It's supposed to be.
Connery's crotch,
it's supposed to be. It's the first time they featured a laser on screen, but it's not a real laser.
Okay.
Like there was somebody like scratching, and it's clearly cartoon animation that they just Star Trek. But I'm pretty sure the sound effects that it makes, they recycled that sound effect in other movies. Like I think that when Christopher Reeve uses his heat vision in the Superman movies, I think it's the same exact sound effect. I would have to like.
They're both orange lasers.
Yes.
Lasers,
so I would have to, but I'm pretty sure it's the same sound effect.
And of course, speaking of earlier we talked about, I never joke about my wig 007, and we get if there's one line that's even more iconic from this movie, it's the one that during this.
You're expecting to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
This is gold, Mr. Bond. All my life I've been in love with its color, its brilliance, its divine heaviness. I welcome any enterprise that will increase my stock, which is considerable.
I think you've made your point, Goldfinger. Thank you for the demonstration.
Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may be your last. The purpose of our two previous encounters is now very clear to me. I do not intend to be distracted by another. Good night, Mr. Bond.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
It's great. It's great. Everybody knows this line. I mean, even casual Bond fans can quote that line, and they probably know which film it comes from.
Yeah, it's much better. Like I'm not going to bring the novel back, but if there was one part where the novel needed to improve, it's that particular sequence.
And although at the end of the day, Goldfinger probably should have let that laser go up Bond's pecker and slice him in two. Not slice, but
eviscerate.
Eviscerate him. There you go. Thank you. At least the reason why he doesn't makes a little bit more sense. Like James Bond is like, well, I reported to 008. He'll take my place. I told him about Operation Grand Slam. And Goldfinger's like, I don't think you know what Operation Grand Slam is. But in the event that you do, and you actually have told it to 008, I'll keep you alive for now, just in case your friends come along to show you that I'm not hard. It's not like the best thing ever, but it's better than what we get in the book, at least.
Yeah,
it's a tough one to get. I mean,
but it makes more. Even it's also there a little bit in the book, because in the book they said Goldfinger says that he contacted Universal Export to tell them that he was taking Bond in America. I don't remember exactly the same reason, but that told MI6 that okay, Bond is in trouble, but don't intervene. He's still alive. He's still okay. It hinted that that something was going on, but here it's actually Bond's is able to just put a tiny
seed of doubt.
Yeah, a seed of doubt. Well said. Inside Goldfinger's brain, and that's going to take him down.
I like the scene. And kudos to the director and the screenwriters. Like that's a tough scene to write yourself out of. Like he's finished.
Yeah,
he's not getting out of this. So it's only a kernel of a legitimate reason, but at least that kernel is there.
Choose your next witticism, Mr. Bond.
I think you've made your point. Thank you for the demonstration.
Might be your last. There's a few good ones. And then he gets captured. They drug him, put him on a plane, and then you walk in.
Oh, I do like that scene. You're right, Mr. Bond. You're worth more to me alive. And his guy takes the gun out. And Bond's like, what?
What
did you just say?
And we have a vision of heaven.
Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
In more ways than one.
From Honor Blackman. She's 39 years old when she...
Yeah, but 39... I think we're impressed by that kind of a fact because so many of these Bond girls are played by actresses in their early to mid 20s. Yeah. So when you hear that,
but it's a real woman. I don't mind that. It's just that we're so used, especially in those movies. In the first one, they were their former beauty pageant winners, and
like
that
6 months ago.
Yeah, and they were not that great of an actress to begin with. Both of them. I mean, we have Ursula Andress and Danielle Bianchi. Both of them dubbed. This is the first one that's not dubbed, and she doesn't play the greatest character of all time. Her character is.
I think she's pretty freaking cool.
The actress and the way she portrays the character.
I think the character is cool too. She's got her own circus.
It's more interesting than in the novel.
Oh, much more interesting.
I'll guarantee that.
There's another improvement.
But I think it's also the aura that actress, because she was from the Avengers. She brings her skills from that TV show because she was trained in judo. She's physical.
She wrote a book about judo. She wrote a book about how to...
Really?
Yeah. She's the real deal.
Interesting.
She's the real deal, and she's the bee's knees.
We're in, and Bond is in a jail.
Can I just say something very base?
Mm-hmm.
I think Honor Blackman is freaking sexy too, hot.
I think that's taken.
I am boner alert. When she's on screen, I really like her a lot.
Well, she has, and because there's attractiveness because of youth, but she brings maturity that none of the other Bond girls had before,
and none will have for a while.
Quickly thinking, no, yeah, you're right. Probably the only
good head.
Mempo, not even. And the only one I can think is that equals.
I'm not talking about just age. When you say maturity, there's age, but there's also life experience. Holly Goodhead.
That the project. No, you know, Octopussy is the closest.
Yeah, Octopussy. Another one that really gets me going too, actually.
And it's weird. It's the same actress,
like them older.
But because she plays a character that has more. It's not. It's experience, but it's not physical age, because I've seen younger woman that, I mean, Scarlett Johansson to me is
she looks like she's 23,
but she's always portrayed, she always had something that I can't describe, but she doesn't feel like a dumb bimbo. She projects
a very smoky voice.
Yeah.
And what an introduction scene for Pussy Galore. And I love, she's like smiling, like she thinks this is funny when Bond is like coming out of it. You can see she's like grinning a little bit. Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
Okay. You're better at playing Bond.
So what is he say?
Who are you? No, he says, who are you?
Okay. Wait, I gotta put the. Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
A great line. And this movie's full of them. I mean, I think it was easy quoting the Roger Moore movies, but of the non-Roger Moore movies, this one is super easy to quote. So, you like close shaves? Oh man! And you know what moment I love pervy Bond. I love the moment when, here's the Operation Grand Slam and blah, 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 and she's about to go back into the cat. She's actually, I guess the plane is on autopilot or something. Oh, no, there's a co-pilot in the cockpit. And she goes back in. He says one more thing. You can turn off the charm. I'm immune. So she goes into the cockpit, and first thing Bond does, he turns her chair and looks at Miley. It's like, well, that didn't work. I'll go for the next best thing.
Also, he shaves, and they try and it's a weird sequence where he's shaving, but they're trying to spy on him. Do we get a good look at the label? Because that scene is there for nothing, except for the show that he has a 2-day-old beard. It sounds
they want to keep an eye on Bond. I have no idea.
Maybe for comedic purposes.
I mean, what is supposed to be kind of funny when he puts the shaving cream? Like he winks. No, he doesn't. I don't know. He looks like he winks and puts the shaving cream over the hole. Shaving cream over the hole. But they would have. Technically they had a reason to spy on him, because that's when he puts the tracking device in the sole of his shoe. I mean, they don't know that that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But they do want to keep tabs on him, and lo and behold, they should have been keeping tabs on him, because this is what's partially going to be their downfall. They should
have killed him when they had the chance.
They should have let that laser go eviscerate him, as you put it.
And then we
get a little bit of.
All right, stud farm. Yeah. That's it. That's the director's opinion on America.
Pretty much.
And Bond gets put in his little jail cell, and we have what they call
dumbest escape plan ever.
No.
Oh, am I getting ahead of myself?
Yes,
Maybe
you are a little bit, because the rumpus room sequence starts with the goons that get the plot explained to them for no good reason.
I used to think that.
No.
In the grander no. In the grander scheme of things, it's for no good reason. If you look at it from like a layer just underneath that second layer, it's Goldfinger yet again boasting, just doing something because he can. And I think it's like that. Now I am getting ahead of myself, but a few minutes later, when they're relaxing and drinking mint juleps, I like your presentation on Operation Grand Slam, and Goldfinger sort of looks sheepishly like, so did I. Like he enjoyed it. It's for no purpose in the grander scheme of things, but he enjoyed it. Like he's a showman.
You know what he reminds me of? And I felt he's Donald Trump. He loves gold. Like I know I say that of all the Bond villains, but especially Goldfinger. The love of gold and the love of I just want to show the stuff I have. I'm a millionaire. No, I'm a billionaire. But I have all the gold in the world. Okay, clearly you're not that talented. To me, it's bizarre how much they are similar. The love of gold, the boasting, the very bravado. Like, I have to show off the stuff I have.
That's actually the word, bravado. There's a lot of bravado to the character, which makes him fun. That's why he's a fun villain. I'm talking about Goldfinger.
Yes.
The other one is not as fun. But no, Goldfinger's a lot of fun, and I think this is one of the reasons why. A great set, by the way. I love that set. Again, in the grand scheme of things, completely pointless, but it's a great set. This is Ken Adam, once again, on crack cocaine. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Yes, Ken Adams.
It's great.
Like, he was on... Yeah, it's... I think he said, oh, maybe it's too much. I'm going to put more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this room is insane. Like, there's
hey, cover those doors. I don't like this.
Fake horse. There's a pool table.
Banks don't open on Sunday.
My bank will.
Yes, I'm so happy you got that.
Explain the plot. And Mr. Solo. Apparently, that Mr. Solo. The series Man from U.N.C.L.E. was being developed when Fleming was still around, and apparently he named that character.
Yeah,
so I heard.
Yeah, Napoleon Solo apparently had a hand in that. Yeah, I've read that in a few places actually.
And unfortunately, this Napoleon, this Mr. Solo, has a short life, and he gets compacted.
Now, there's one thing I don't understand about that. Speaking of things that happen for no reason, when Oddjob pretends to be driving Solo to the airport. Obviously, he's not. They take a sharp right. He stops the car, kills Solo. Now the gold is in the trunk because they had to make Solo think.
I thought the car was made of gold.
The one that Oddjob was driving.
Oh, you're right.
No. They're paying.
Oh.
Remember, at the start of his presentation, you may get your 1 million in gold bullion today, or you can get 10 million tomorrow. So they have to make Solo think he's getting paid. So there's that shot where one of his Goldfinger's minions is putting the gold bars in the trunk. So Oddjob drives off with Solo in the back. They take the right. He stops the car, turns around, kills Solo. The gold is in the trunk. He goes to the metal compactor site, but doesn't take the gold out of the car. He crushes the car as it has the gold, only for the line later on, excuse me, well, I have to separate my gold from the late Mr. Solo. It's a funny line, but you didn't have to do that.
Yeah. I was going to say maybe it's to smuggle it back to England. No, it makes no sense.
He's smuggling it out of England. Why is he smuggling it back in?
Sky Hamilton, it's a joke.
Yeah, it's just
that
for the
that
joke.
Movie was not made to be analyzed the way we are doing.
No,
50 years, more than 50 years later. But we have. Speaking of, the book has a grotesque sequence where there's a cat that's being eaten by Oddjob. We have for no reason, KFC is featured prominently. Always amuses me. From the first time, I'm like, why do we see... And it's not product placement. They're in Kentucky.
Yeah, they're in Kentucky. It's not product placement.
Stupid.
And Felix Sutter, you can see he's wiping his mouth, so he actually had a little bit of KFC.
You're right. Bun is caught because he escapes with the stupidest way.
Yeah, it's like... Does no one see him on...
He's Spider-Man. He climbs, and he's...
Oh, you got that great moment where the camera, now we're sort of back below, underneath the maquette of Fort Knox, and, a pair of hands grab his ankles and yanks him under, pushes him against the wall. Ooh, Bond hits the wall, turns around. Pussy. I don't know. I want to think that Sean Connery just loves saying that. Pussy.
Probably.
And how did Bond escape his cell the first time? Like, bruh, come on.
It's silly. It's the worst guard ever.
Ugh.
Fire him or kill him, but don't keep that guy around.
You should have stuck him in the car with Solo.
And Bond, yes. Yes, you should. Bond and Goldfinger have their chat. And this is where Bond figures out the real plot.
Figures out the real plot. And so we got the genius Bond, which is a trend that'll continue, especially in the Moore era. So we get the first of the genius Bond scenes. And we get something else, which, again, on the spot, I can't think of a scene where we got it again, but I don't want to say it never happens again because a listener will say, what happened in this scene? Is a moment when Bond finally understands exactly the intricacy, the genius of this plot, if he were a villain, you know. And he says, my apologies, Goldfinger. It's an inspired plan. Like that little moment where Bond is like, you're the bad guy and I have to stop you, but that's a effing good. That's an effing good idea.
You plan to break into the world's largest bank, but not to steal anything. Why?
Go on, Mr. Bond.
Mr. Ling, the red Chinese agent at the factory, he's a specialist in nuclear fission. But of course, his government's given you a bomb.
I prefer to call it an atomic device. It's small, but particularly dirty.
Cobalt and iodine?
Precisely.
Well, if you explode it in Fort Knox, the entire gold supply of the United States will be radioactive for 57 years.
58 to be exact.
I apologize, Goldfinger. It's an inspired deal. They get what they want, economic chaos in the West, and the value of your gold increases many times.
I conservatively estimate 10 times.
They fix stuff that's not really, that makes no sense. Like, it's still a crazy plot, but they make it plausible. Like, I believe that plot more than the plot of the book is like, I'm gonna steal. This stuff is
a billion trucks.
I'm gonna F up the entire world, the entire
gold supply of the United States.
Like,
There's a huge gold supply, and the American dollar is an important currency, so you're doing double damage there. Double jeopardy.
It's a clever plot. It's and they've mimicked those types of it's called a Goldfinger plot for a reason. I mean, A View to a Kill is like that.
Silicon Valley, yeah.
What's the other one that's coming to mind? The war's not enough with oil.
True. Yeah. Blow up the pipeline, destroy Turkey, although I don't remember.
We'll
get there when I haven't watched.
Even Live and
Let
Let Die is a little bit more of a Goldfinger because he's trying to get the monopoly on that.
Yeah, they do adhere to that template for a handful of movies later on.
They took out the elements that worked in the book and fixed them because that book that plot doesn't really work in the novel, but in the movie it's a good one. And then we have the most controversial scene in the entire movie. We discussed it before.
Have we?
We did discuss. Yes, I think we discussed it in our episode, our Bond Expansion Volume 1. We briefly discussed it. If you don't remember,
I don't remember. I don't remember what the previous episode was.
Basically, this scene doesn't feel like it's complete rape because of the music. I'm sorry. Like the music, like I would love. I could probably.
It's supposed to be like cutesy, funny. It's supposed to be whimsical.
If you remove that music and change it, it probably looks creepy as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Like even
he forces himself on her.
Yeah.
He literally forces himself on her. It's not a.
What does it take for me to change your mind?
I'd like to think you're not all in this caper. Yeah, it's not very good. It's not very good. Even by, well, no, I was about to say even by today's standards. No, that's the point. By today's standards, it's even worse. But I'm surprised that back in the day that played well because they didn't cut that. It's in the movie, so they thought it was okay.
You know what's weirder? I watched the documentary on the DVD, The Bond Phenomenon. And they actually filmed there was like a behind the scenes montage of that scene being shot, and the narrator was like, talking about like Bond tosses
it's
pussy.
Time for some playtime between Bond and his leading lady.
Boys won, and then she tosses lay girls one, so it's equal. Oh, now this scene is more it features more togetherness. And like, what? And I'm guessing like children saw that and like it's creepy. You're
So that's how Mommy and Daddy made me. There was one little moment just before they enter the barn, and for the life of me, I can't remember what the line is. But Bond says something about Operation Grand Slam, and there's a look in Pussy's eyes like, what's that now? Like, she's starting to clue in that maybe she wasn't privy to all the details of Operation Grand Slam, and the nerve gas they're going to use might kill people. I think they're maybe used, and I never noticed that moment until last night when I watched the film.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
It's like the little look of like, huh?
I think it's when he tells her to go change her, and she has a reaction when he asks her what she's going to do with her money. He touches her hand and like go back to nature, but it's just there's a moment where she has a reaction and she's just. She looks upset.
But I'm wondering if they used that as, well, he's not really raping her because she's slowly coming on to him, but it's...
No, she says no.
It's like, that's like Satan. You got devil's advocate, and then there's like Satan's, that's Satan's advocate's argument. It's like, no, it still
she said
work.
no. No means no.
No, yeah, you're right. No means no. It's not a very good scene. I've even when I was young, I thought that was kind of
It's
weird.
always like the music. It's schizophrenic. The music says
it's romantic,
funny, cute, and the action says, ugh.
I know, very aggressive.
Different social conventions.
Oh, anyway, thank goodness that those things don't happen in the films these days anymore, or at least not that intensely. There's one in Skyfall I find it a little weird, but we'll get there in 6 years' time. So let's move along to Operation Grand Slam, which is put into effect, although unbeknownst to us, the viewers, and Goldfinger, the Delta 9 gas has been switched for some sort of harmless material. What I love about the sequence, though, is the Pussy Galore's flying circus. They still have to do their due diligence and make it look as though they're operating Operation Rockabye Baby, Operation Rockabye Baby. So everybody in the town and the soldiers around Fort Knox have to pretend that they're getting knocked out. I love that so much because there's so many of those actors. It looks like they're like breaking their fall so much. Because if you were really knocked out, like you wouldn't think about that. It almost looks like they're making themselves comfortable on the ground. It's really funny sometimes. So everybody pretends to get knocked out by the Delta 9 nerve gas. Goldfinger. Now Bond is still captive. I think he's being observed by Odd Job. Just to make sure he doesn't get away.
He's always next to him.
And they blow up the gate. They blow up the gate. How the hell did they open? Oh, right, the laser's back.
The laser's back.
Which is a cruel moment, because like every time, God knows how many times I've seen this movie, but I always forget that they bring back the laser.
Clever.
Yeah, and it comes out of like the roof of the truck, so it's like raising out of the truck. That's pretty cool. So they get in there. And
Goldfinger shows up in a helicopter with, and I never noticed that that's the outfit that she wears.
Flying pussy.
It's a really beautiful outfit, like all white with the
really
gold top.
It's really good.
But this is a great outfit, and it's only now that I realize when you are first. She has two outfits that are particularly the same. One's black, one's white. The only thing that keeps it.
And one's purple.
Yes, but I mean our flying outfit, because when she's in the plane and she's carrying Bond from Switzerland to America, she has the black with the gold blues, and when she's carrying Goldfinger, she switches her alliance, she's white.
She's become the angel.
Yes.
Oh, symbolism in a Bond film. How dare they?
It's because I really love that outfit.
It's awesome.
So they carry the bomb. They put the manacle bomb bomb to the bomb.
To the nuclear bomb, yeah. Mr. Bomb.
And then Felix and the army show up. They close the vault. Bond is trapped with Odd Job, and I think his name is Kish.
Kish. An omelette.
And Kish wants to turn off the bomb, and
He says something like, "You can be a hero, not me." What do you mean hero? You're here to blow up a nuclear bomb. Who's being a hero?
yeah,
One man's hero is another man's enemy, I
well,
suppose.
you have to think this is where I realized that, our job is because Korea, he's a red agent. Our job is, like, I realized probably our job is not just there as he's there to make sure that the operation, like,
Could be North Korean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the bomb goes off and ruins the American gold supply. This is his mission. He's not there to serve Goldfinger, because Goldfinger's gonna, if the bomb.
I never really thought of it that way.
It's the first time I ever did. Our job is not working necessarily. He's working with the Goldfinger, not for Goldfinger.
It would make sense. I don't know if we're reading more than we have to, but it would make sense, though.
Probably, but still, I think it makes the movie.
It would work as an in-world explanation for his.
Bond Expansion Volume 1. Bond Expansion Volume 1. The Agents of Spectre. That's all I have to say. Bond and our job is like the. Were there other, like, an indestructible henchmen in movies before? Because even Red Grant is not indestructible.
Red Grant will bleed.
Well, but our job is like smiling, gets punched with a gold bar, and it's like.
Yeah. Well, so what we had scantily clad ladies in the title sequence, proper Q scene, tricked out car, retarded plot, a funny name for a Bond girl, and the indestructible henchman. It's
all the
here,
ingredients.
really, yeah. They all debut here.
Yeah, and it's a fun sequence when they fight. At one point, he throws his hat to Bond. Bond manages to dodge it, picks it up, and it looks like and that's the first time Oddjob's gets nervous.
Yeah,
and they're eyeing each other, and eventually Bond throws the hat, misses, or does he miss in purpose? Is he really thinking that?
I don't think he's thinking that long term.
He just improvised the electrocution.
Because he's lucky because the fight continues for a little bit. An Oddjob. Wait, what? No, I'm sorry. I'm getting the sequence mixed up. No, I'm thinking of when Bond is tossed and sort of slides near the cage, but that's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
He picks up the hat, throws it. It gets caught between the bars. Oddjob goes to get it, and since the electric cable has been cut, the electrical current and I guess the steel in the hat.
Probably burned himself pretty bad when
what you call barbecue Korean. A little bit of kimchi for you.
That's a good one. That's staying in. And then the bomb takes the gold bricks, breaks open the bomb, and he's looking at it. It's like,
I love that scene when he actually opens it. Like, oh yes, turn off the bomb. He opens it, and there's this brief shot of him like, what? How do I do this?
Like trying to stop. Okay, I don't know how to stop this. And eventually, like the counter keeps going down. Okay, it's gonna blow up in my face. Like he's about to pull on some cables, and one of the engineers just
stops his hand,
boop,
turns off the knob, turns the knob,
just boop, flicks it off.
What kept you?
3 more clicks and.
Where's your butler friend? Well, he blew a fuse. Probably should have said, "Wow, Korean barbecue."
Oh my God, that's.
Oh, you know what? Oh, this I didn't notice this for the first time last night. It was a few viewings ago that I know this one. Goldfinger has a golden gun.
Oh yes, I noticed. He's the original man with the golden gun.
So it's off to Washington for lunch with the president because, of course, you would do that for one British Secret Service agent. But little does Bond know.
Oh, and you're lucky for Bond, he has a liquor for 3. And I love the.
Who are the other 2?
The ad for Jim Beam from probably around that era of Connery trying to sell us some Jim Beam. I think it's whiskey.
The taste is distinctive. The man is Sean Connery. The bourbon is Jim Beam. Liquor for 3.
Yeah.
So surprise, surprise. Guess who's not dead?
Goldfinger. I needed to do that at least once.
No word. That's true. We didn't do it at all. But he doesn't last very long. There's a struggle. Where's Pussy? I'll deal with her later. So there's a struggle, and in the struggle,
at the controls where she ought to be, and then that's when he.
Yes. So the struggle. shots fired. And of course, the depressurization of the fuse.
Whoa!
Yep. So well, they flip flop from the book, because in the book it's Oddjob that gets sucked out like toothpaste. In this case, it's Goldfinger.
And it's not like toothpaste, because honestly, I kind of wish they did the alien resurrection, but that would have been technically impossible in 1964 and a little bit too gross for the
R-rated James Bond movie.
But eventually I hope they can recycle redo that scene a bit more grotesque.
Well,
Bond 25.
I just thought of it. Well, I guess they'd have to do it with Oddjob, but assuming they get as far as Goldfinger with the graphic novel adaptation, since they're already so grotesque to begin with.
Oh my god, that would be beautiful. Ugh.
Favorite panel in the book.
Oh, just
like the intestines and like the little pieces of brain, like.
So I can see it, picture it in my mind, like just blood pouring.
So the plane is crashing because it's being depressurized, and we don't literally see Bond and Pussy.
We just see it. Think it.
Yeah, on the radar at the airport, you see a little blip on the radar map. Why would there be a blip for Bond and Pussy? That like,
do you want to know why?
Just maybe in the parachute. There's
it's parachuting because it's cheaper to show a quick animation than to get a parachute with a dude.
No, I misspoke, I wasn't clear enough. Why can they see them on the radar system in the parachute? I'm guessing maybe there's a tracker in the parachute itself. Why do they see them?
It's movie magic.
Sure. It's Guy Hamilton.
Yeah, no, honestly, you're doing what I usually do and like pick on details that
That's pretty much. That's pretty much how the movie ends. I mean, this is no time to be rescued.
And Bond will be back. The next movie.
The end of Goldfinger, but James Bond will return in Thunderball.
Technically, because
not us, but.
So I'll go as quickly as humanly possible through the year 1964. January 11th, United States Surgeon General Luther Terry reports that smoking may be hazardous to one's health. It's the first statement, 1964.
You can save your life with a cigarette.
February 1st, the Beatles vault to the #1 spot on U.S. singles charts for the first time with I Want to Hold Your Hand, starting the British invasion of the United States. On February 9th, they appear on the Ed Sullivan Show. February 25th, Cassius Clay beats Sonny Liston in Miami Beach, Florida, and becomes the heavyweight champion of the world. And on March 6th, he changes his name to Muhammad Ali. And he died last year, I think.
A couple years?
I think he...
Oh, it might have been last year.
Last year, I think.
Last summer, I think.
March 15th, and that... I'm puzzled by that. Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor marry for the first time in Montreal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll need to research that because it just... Whoa. Merv Griffin's game show Jeopardy premieres on NBC on March 30th.
Holy smokes. I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah, no, neither did I. Sidney Poitier is the first African-American to win an Academy Award for Best Actor on April 13th.
Is that for In the Heat of the Night or Look Who's Coming to Dinner?
Lilies of the Field.
Oh,
neither. The Rolling Stones debut their first album, The Rolling Stones, on April 16th. April 17th, Ford Mustang officially unveils... Ford officially unveils the Ford Mustang. The final Looney Tune, Senorella and the Glass Huarache, is released.
And the Glass what?
Huarache, I think it's a Spanish word that I can't pronounce. And Jack Warner closes the cartoon division of Warner Brothers. August 27th, Mary Poppins has its world premiere. December 6th, 1964, it's the premiere of the animated Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice.
December 10th, Martin Luther King is awarded the Nobel Prize. And December 21st, 1964, Goldfinger comes out. Came out at the end of the year 1964. And
Now we're stuck with Star Wars films at
Yeah.
Christmas.
because
The good old days when it was Bond.
Thunderball was coming out the next Christmas, Christmas 1965. Then we have Birds. This is a good one. January 7th. He could be a Bond villain. Nicolas Cage.
No.
No, it would be Bond. Why are you trying to stop my plan?
That's exactly... Or actually, no, that's one of many reasons why I wouldn't want him as a Bond.
I would want him.
I've never been a big Nick Cage guy. Yeah.
January 17th, Michelle Obama, born April 7th, Russell Crowe. May 26th, Lenny Kravitz.
Cool.
And when we have three Bond alumni, we have on July 20th.
A threesome?
Two of them I wish I could. And not the next one. July 20th, Chris Cornell, the late Chris Cornell was born. September 30th, Montgomery Bellucci was born. And
Well, hold on. I got to catch my breath. Okay, you can go.
again, you're going to lose your breath again. Famke Janssen, born
Are you
on
kidding me?
November 5th of November 1964.
Whoa, that's like Bond Holy Grail right there.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Chris Cornell, Monica Bellucci, and Famke Janssen.
Yeah,
Jeez Louise.
couple like months apart.
Wow.
It's a good. It's. I mean,
That is a good year. That is a
Famke
vintage Bond
Janssen
year.
has my heart.
You got Goldfinger and those three people born. That is a vintage year.
I put Lenny Kravitz because I kind of like him, and
I like him.
I could see him doing a Bond song. There's a few,
I can too, actually.
there's a few of his songs. I mean, he could definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Oh.
They need to use like classic acts like him, like.
You're not garbage like Adele.
Final thoughts.
I love it. I've always loved it. I think it moves along like a Swiss watch. It's very funny. There is a change in the tone, as we discussed throughout the episode. I don't really mind this change in tone. You don't want your James Bond movies to be exactly alike. You know, it's... Every time I say, oh, every Bond film's the same, well, they are, but they aren't. You know,
It's like Coca-Cola, Coke Cherry, Coke Lime,
this is like vanilla
Fanta.
Coke. Right? Now, Fanta is...
Well, Fanta,
Golden Eyes Fanta. It's like Coke Reborn.
yeah, Coke Zero. So it's
No, Coke Zero's like... What is Coke Zero?
it's Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I think it's a great fun. I love Honor Blackman. I love... what can I say? You know, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I love pussy. Your thoughts?
I love pussy.
Come on,
And
Matthew. Please, a little bit of decency on this podcast. At least I was talking about what the people
I
was talking
and
about.
I love Honor Blackman.
Oh, so you love both. You're trying to like have your cake and eat it too. Right.
I really, but I've been struggling with this movie since I saw it in theaters. I'll be honest with you. It used to be one of my favorites. It's still one of my favorites, but it shows its age. It's
Some wonky special effects here or there. It's too much. It's
people tend to put it so high on the list, and I mean, okay, but I mean, you have Casino Royale, you have On Her Majesty's Secret Service, you have
Spy Who Loved Me,
The Spy Who Loved
For Much
Me,
With Love,
you have GoldenEye.
Skyfall. I would argue Skyfall.
Yeah, I would accept. If you have to put it in the entire spectrum of Bond for modern spectrum for modern audiences, I don't know if it's an essential because it's
Really interesting.
I don't know if modern audiences would react positively to the film. So
I would argue
some of the social.
I would take your point and argue something a bit differently. I would argue if you are a fan of the franchise and you want to do a little bit of homework and find out the things you love and know, but you know, where did they come from?
I said it's homework.
And you're a little bit open-minded and you don't mind watching an older one. Absolutely watch Goldfinger. Absolutely. Because this is where it all came from. As much as I love Dr. No, and we gave Dr. No a glowing review, as much as I love From Russia with Love, which I've said is my favorite film of all time, Goldfinger is a lot of fun. It's just a ton of
You know,
fun.
I don't own all the movies digitally, but this is one of the few ones that I got digitally. I have it on my cell phone currently, so I love it. It's just it depends on people's personal taste. If you're able to watch older movies, you probably have seen this one. But if
you're forgiving of sexual assault, you can watch this one.
well, I wouldn't say forgiving, but if you're understanding of social,
Right. Different mores.
social mores of the time, it's not it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It has all the classic elements. I'm just concerned about a modern viewer watching a movie that was made over 50 years ago with all of its flaws. The flaws are more evident because of people are more used to those types of movies. But if you want to see where all your like popcorn entertainment comes from, this is probably the initial like big popcorn.
It's Blockbuster Prime.
Yeah, well said, Blockbuster Prime.
Well, there we have it. That closes the chapter on Goldfinger. We had a lot of fun on this one. The listeners can also have a lot of fun because we're active on social media platforms. Many of them, for that matter.
Yes.
I'm about to tell you what those platforms are. There's our Twitter account at The Bond Complex. We have a Facebook page. Please search for The James Bond Complex. If you enjoy stunning photography, we have an Instagram account at the James Bond Complex as well. There's our official website, www.thejamesbondcomplex.com. You can always take a quick look at us at our home base of operations, our friends at Anchor. And we are on Google Play. So if you're a Google person, you may find us at Google Play. If you're an Apple person, you can find us on iTunes. Please subscribe and rate. Give us 5 gold stars. I'm on Twitter at @00pop. That's the word _OH_pop. Matthew?
Matt Auclair.
Just as James Bond always returns, so too will the James Bond Complex in James Bond's Monopoquo. I don't know what that is. I'm about to find out in a few minutes.
We had to invent a name, and that's a temporary name. But you'll
find out next week.
We'll keep that for next week. Bye-bye.
Merci, bonsoir, puis moi, je comprends plus rien ici.
Ciao.
Pussy. 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 Pussy.